Well, okay, so I've asked my child to do something, put on their shoes 3 different times, and I'm getting like, anger and aggression and all that at me. And Ashley, you're saying drop the command, but what about putting on the shoes? Like is my child going to learn that they can get angry and aggressive and then not have to do the things that I asked them to do? So what would you say to that objection that parents would bring?
Right. Well, first of all, we understand that punishment doesn't work. So, not saying, go to your room or punishment of, you know, just giving these commands, that doesn't work. And so, what we do know is that when we, again, practice with empathy, self compassion, and allowing ourselves to get into a state where our minds, are regulated, we can think clearly. We can think clearly when we're in fight, flight, or freeze mode. We're no longer in the thinking brain, and so we're in the brain where it's like you want to run out of there, and it's hard. And I get it; it's so uncomfortable. The thing is, though, is that when we do practice the skill of radical empathy and breathing through it and remaining present, we can think clearly and we can also see more objectively. And then when we are in that state, we're not trying to control, because one of the reasons why we get so angry is because we want to control. And this is inherent. This is the human brain. We desire control. And we feel out of control when our child doesn't put their shoes away, when our child doesn't listen to us, and we have to keep repeating. And this is a trigger for parents. It's a trigger
Oh,
for anyone
sure.
because there
Yeah.
is this need to feel in control. And when things don't go our way, which is all the time in parenthood, then we feel out of control. So, how do we handle that? How do we want to respond to that? Do we want to continue to go down that path of yelling or shaming or punishing, which we know doesn't work because it keeps happening? We see the evidence it's not
It
working because it
causes
keeps happening.
Yeah, it causes resentment and resistance in the long run because yeah, there's no connection there. There's no you're just causing like more and more resistance. You're making your child more and more resistant to what you say. So, but then back to that parent, like, well, what about the shoes? Like, I gotta be able to get my kids' shoes on, you know?
I would ask guiding reflective questions. I see your shoes are still on the floor.
Mhm.
And then wait. What will your child say? And even the way that you are standing, your body language says a lot. So
Mhm.
again, radical empathy, taking care of yourself, making sure you're regulated. If you have tight fists, if you're showing an angry face, they're just going to be also on edge and also reactive because you are reactive. So that's why it's so important to breathe first. Find a place of regulation, because that is step one, self regulation. And that way, when you are talking with your child and just letting them reflect on the experience by asking them questions, it can be objective and it's not as emotional. It doesn't have to be, I see your shoes are on the floor. And that will help guide them in that conversation. They're going to respond because because I put them there. Yes, I see your shoes. Where do they belong? Um, I I right here. Hmm. I don't see my shoes here. I put my shoes in the basket. Oh, okay, fine. Or, all right. And then they'll just huff off or and take their shoes. But asking those reflective questions will help them understand and think a little bit more about that. Like, how is this impacting the home? I don't want to trip and fall on them. So giving them that feedback when I walk in the door, I don't want to trip and fall on shoes. I'd rather walk into the home and have a clean space.
Mhm.
They understand that it's impacting others. When we have that conversation, when everyone is regulated and everyone is calm, that's when you can have a deeper conversation. Like, I don't want to walk in the home and trip on shoes. I don't want to fall down. I prefer having a clean home. We put our shoes in the basket. And this will also let your child see the reason behind that, why we put our shoes away and have deeper compassion, knowing, well, you're right. I don't want mom to fall down. I want to be able to walk in the house and have it, semi-clean, but just having them posing those reflective questions, it allows them to problem solve. And we want to teach that. That's a lifelong skill. We want to teach problem solving, critical thinking, because that is what helps build responsible, resilient people.
Catch new episodes of the Mindful Mama podcast and other free resources, including the Mindful Mom Guide at mindfulmamamentor.com. You can listen to every back catalog episode, including interviews with Dr. Dan Siegel, Iyanla Vanzant, Sharon Salzberg, and get meditations, join our private Facebook group, and more. Go to mindfulmamamentor.com now. I'll see you there.